to another episode of Survive the Wild with me, Dan. Today I'm out and about. I'm going to be looking for spring edibles. It's going to be lots of different plants that are now emerging, because we're just about to come into April. So everything is now waking up and ready to be picked. So without further ado, let's get out and see what we can find. So I've just been walking a few minutes, and one of the first plants I've seen, and you'll frequently see this as one of the first trees, shrubs that the leaves emerge at in spring, is this, and it's the hawthorn. Now this is quite a nice edible. You don't get an awful lot, you know, the leaves are small, but when they're just coming out of the bud, it can vary from plant to plant. I mean, that's almost like has almost a slight zing to it, zestiness. It's quite a fresh flavour, quite tasty, and you know, it's a good one to accompany with a, you know, if you're making like a wild salad. Later in the year it produces a berry, and in fact there's a few still on here, and these are haws, or hawthorn berries. Now this one's slightly past its best, but it will still be edible. Very sweet. There's like a quite a large seed inside, but you know, we can collect these berries in the late summer, early autumn, and make a really good fruit leather out of these. In fact, I did this last year, so you know, I'll put a link to showing you that video. And you know, that's a really sweet fruit. Very sort of like underused these days. You know, our ancestors would have, you know, relied quite a lot on this to get them through the winter, because it dries very quickly. It turns into a jelly within minutes, and then you can slice it, dry it, smoke it, and then store it through the winter. But this time of year we're mainly interested in the leaves. I've not had to walk very far down this path, and I found this. It's chickweed. Now you can, you know, this is another thing you can have in as a salad. It's quite a hairy little plant. It's got a fairly fresh but slightly sharp taste to it. That's another one you can add, and it's easily identified by the little tiny flowers that are just starting to emerge, and the way it grows. So yeah, another little accompaniment to a salad. Now here we have another interesting plant, and if you're into your more spicy flavours, then this will be the one for you. It's called garlic mustard, or it's commonly known or nicknamed as Jack by the Hedge. And this is one of my favourite springtime edibles. Now this plant will grow to about waist height, and at this time of year you do have to be careful. There is another plant that looks very similar to it that grows. It doesn't grow much bigger than this. So sort of like after like mid-spring, it becomes much easier to identify. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the other plant, but it does look very similar, but it's a bit more compact. But at the moment I'm just going to go straight in with the flower bud here and the young tender. We've got a lovely slight mustardy, hint of garlic, fairly sweetness to it, but quite delicate. Later in the year, because this will flower from about April right through till sort of like September in some cases. But a really tasty plant, and one definitely worth putting in your salad. So here's another plant, and it's called hairy bittercress, and has a very delicate white flower that produces like a seed pod very similar to mustard. And those seed pods sort of, once they mature, there's a sort of like produces its own tension, and when they've matured enough, a bit of a breeze or a slight knock, and they sort of explode out, scatter the seed that way. But it's a really nice edible, very much like cress. It is part of the cress family, it's like watercress and cress that you get on like an egg salad sandwich or something. But it's a really tasty, oh, it's got a bit of dirt on it, really tasty plant. Often found growing by paths, wasteland, in the cracks of paving, that sort of thing. You know, frequently grows on wasteland. But yeah, a really nice, sort of got a nice tang to it. Definitely one that you want in your salad. It's a really tasty plant, and the flower heads have got like a bit of a sweetness to them as well, because there's there's a small amount of nectar in there. But a really good plant. Another one at this time of year to keep an eye out for, especially when you're in the woodlands, is this one. It's wood sorrel. Now, it looks similar to like a clover, the leaf shapes, and because at the moment the sun's hitting these leaves directly, they've folded back on themselves. This one's got a bit more shade on it here, so it's more open, but it's a way of protecting itself. And again, it's another edible. It's a really tasty one. This one has quite it's got an acid in there, so you don't want to eat too much of it, because it might, if you've got a bit of a stomach that's prone to sort of like indigestion, that sort of thing, it might wreak havoc with you. But it has quite a sharp lemony flavour to it, and it's really nice, especially this time of year when it's just coming out. You really get that lemony, citrusy kick from it, and the flowers are equally as edible. More delicate, sweeter, but really, really tasty. I could eat loads of this, but like I say, you don't want to eat too much. I'm going to, because it's just so nice. So really, really go out, try it, because it really has such a nice lemon zest to it. Just have a couple more. So I'm pretty sure you'll be familiar with this one, and it's the stinging nettle. Now, in terms of wild foods, this is probably one of the most nutritious ones out there. It contains vitamin C, vitamin A, iron. It's also got, I can't remember the percentage, but it's got quite a reasonable amount of protein in there as well. I personally have it in the soup, so like take the heads off, sort of the new leaves, because they're the most tender. Boil that up with, probably put something like ramsons in, or anything else really. You could put vegetable stock cube in there if you want, a bit of salt and pepper. But later on in the year, when this has grown pretty tall, back end of the summer, we can also use the fibres from the stem to make cordage, or like a string. So it's a plant that's got two uses, and later on in the year, you're not really going to be wanting to eat it, because it goes quite tough then anyway. So it's best picked like now in spring, and then you can use it for cordage later on in the summer. But definitely worth a mention. So, covered quite a few plants there. I have done another video. I did one last spring that was a little bit later on towards the back end of spring. That covers a few more that I haven't covered in this one. I did want to try and cover a few different plants. But yeah, just go out there, try some, but just do it responsibly. Don't go to an area and just pick everything within the area. Just take little bits and bobs, and you should be fine. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I have got another trip coming up planned for next week, which will be the back end of the week, and I'm going to the northeast coast, so like of Yorkshire. And that's going to be a really interesting video, because I'll be foraging on the coastline there. I'll be spending 2 nights wild camping right down by the cliffs, and I'll be looking for shellfish, looking at a couple of different species of seaweed that are edible. So that should make for a really good trip. What I might have to do is just do like a little kit video, that sort of the stuff that I'll be taking with me. So because I'll be going Wednesday and then coming back on the Friday, and normally I put these videos out on a Friday, so I'll probably do that before I go, and then as soon as I get back on the Friday I'll upload that video, and then the actual trip will be the week after. So that's definitely one to watch out for. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.